It's definitely worth teasing out the case for having kids because I think it's under assault now more than maybe it's ever been. And people are
Mhm,
making the opposite case. Oftentimes, people who've never experienced having kids are making the child free
mhm.
case. So I think at one of Jordan Peterson's his lectures, I think he was asked the question, "Why have kids?" And I've heard him say things like this in the past, and I feel like this is a very interesting part of thinking about. Um, and I think this really comes from somebody who's has adult children, like has seen kind of the full spectrum. That is often, I think, is left out of the conversation. So I like to start here.
Your kids want to have the best relationship with you that they possibly could have. Like they're 100% on board with that idea. Way more than anyone you've ever met in your life. And that means you could have the best relationship with your children that you've ever had with anyone. That's what they offer you. And it's up to you to realize that. And you could. And that's a hell of that's a good opportunity, man. You know, even if you've been beat around a lot and betrayed and hurt, you've got those little kids and they're thinking, what do you want to do, Dad? You know, and if you're bitter, that'll cut you to the quick and you'll hurt them. You don't want to do that.
Okay, so yeah, he gets emotional about this, and understandably so. His basic idea here is that when you have children, you are entering into a relationship with someone who, before knowing anyone else, they want to have the best relationship that they could possibly have with you. And if life and meaning is centered on relationships, and you could introduce into the world and into your life people who want nothing, no relationship to go better than their relationship with you. Like that seems like a incredibly good deal. And I think there are certain things that like have obfuscated this reality to people in the modern world. But yeah, Tyler, what does that start for you?
Yeah, I took like just last night, I took my 8-year-old son up to a Charlotte Hornets game, and while I was watching that clip of Jordan Peterson talking about this creating these relationships with your kids, I'm just thinking about this extended one-on-one time that I had with my son last night, and he had this giant smile on his face the entire car ride up. Didn't matter that we were sitting in traffic, didn't matter we were standing in line, didn't matter we were having to wait. He just had this giant smile because it was me and him. He was with dad. We were doing something fun. We were doing something exciting. And I think about that moment and what that built in my relationship with my son, and hopefully this moment that he'll remember for the rest of his life. And how many times that happens with each of my kids each and every day. Every time one of my kids says, "Hey, dad, look at this. Dad, look at this picture that I drew. Dad, look what I built with these Legos. Dad, dad, dad." You know, I hear it 1,000 times a day. It's probably not an exaggeration. I hear my name called, but it's just these kids that just, they so deeply desire my attention, my affection, my love. And there is no greater thing that I can give my time to than giving my kids those things, than giving my kids that time, that attention, that affection, and helping them see through that love who they are and like what they're capable of. I mean, it's the greatest joy to get to build that relationship with your kids and to see them desire it so deeply from the onset.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a crazy thing, um, to to see how much they are rooting
Mm,
for this relationship to work. Like
mhm,
like they are completely on board with that. Now, I think there are challenges, like I said, that I think are kind of unnatural that we've
mhm,
introduced into the relationship where I think people have had very strained relationship with their parents and they sort of think
mhm,
that that's the norm as
mhm,
opposed to what Peterson's describing here. The other thing that really gets me is towards the end, he kind of um, as he's getting emotional, he's talking about this child who's like, what are we going to do today, dad?
mhm.
And
Yeah.
I think what I take from that, kind of like to your example, taking your son to the game, is like, I think part of what's happening is there's a whole very long season of their life where all they want to do is what you want. Like they want to know
Mm,
what are we doing? Like I will follow you. I will go with
mhm,
you into whatever you want to like get into something. Let's get into something. They have nothing better
mm.
to do,
Yeah,
and they have no one better to do it with.
yeah.
And I think that it's really stewarding that opportunity. I think
Mhm,
that what he's sort of signaling there. That's the moment
mhm,
when your child says that or signals that. That's the moment where you pay kind of you invest into that relationship and say,
mhm,
I know that you want this relationship with me, and I am going to reciprocate. I want that relationship with you. The thing that's
mhm,
different though, when you're a parent, when you're the father or the mother, is that you have a much broader world and you could decide that investing in this relationship with this child isn't you'd rather there's something else you'd rather do.
mhm,
And there's a lot of other relationships you think are more important.
mhm,
And I think that's the pathway that oftentimes begins to injure the relationship in a way that really causes that bitterness to build up and that disappointment, and that rift can generationally begin. But it doesn't
mhm.
start that way. It starts in a
Right.
very, very precious place where they're just trusting
Yeah.
and they're like, I just want to have a relationship with you.
Yeah. And if you want proof of that, dads, go tell your kids you're running an errand and ask who wants to come. And you don't have to tell them where you're going. You don't have to tell them how long it's going to be. You don't have to tell them if they're going to get anything while y'all are out. You'll be amazed to see how many times, every time I ask, I have at least 4 kids that say, yes, they want to go with me. And again, they don't
Yeah.
know where we're going. They don't care. They just want to be with me. And the more times that I think we as dads or moms can say yes in those opportunities, we can say yes to inviting our kids into the things we're doing, whether it's running an errand, mowing the yard, a business meeting, eating a meal together. Like you're just like you said, you're reinforcing to those kids that you value that relationship just as much as they do. And it keeps them coming back, right? If you tell your kid no enough times, they're going to eventually get this message, whether you intend to or not, that dad isn't as invested in this relationship as I am, and they're going to stop asking.
Mm.
And I've heard John Tyson say that, the kids will stop asking with their mouth, but they'll never stop asking in their heart. They'll never stop longing for their dad or for their mom, for that attention, for that affection. But they're just going to get to a place where because dad has prioritized so many other things that they have just moved on, but it doesn't never, that longing never goes away. And it's just replaced by a wound. You hear,
Mm.
Pearson talk about towards the end of that clip that like you wound them, you curse your kids when you tell them and when you show them that you prioritize and you value all of these other things over your relationship with them.